Is it possible to build a full-time income, have steady, consistent results, and be profitable over the long term using these sports betting platforms? I'm going to go over how it is possible, why it's not likely, and what the actual structural reasons behind why it's not likely are. And then we'll talk about why, even though people know this, they'll still do it anyway. Let's break it down. Most studies and industry analyses put the number of profitable sports bettors at around 3 to 5%. That means 3 to 5% of sports bettors are consistently profitable over the long run, which means about 95% or more lose money overall. Now, the question though is going to be, if that is the case, then why is it exactly that way? There are 3 structural reasons why so few people win in the sports betting game. The first one is what's called the sportsbook edge, or VIG. So every single bet has something called expected value. Expected value is just a simple equation. If you repeat the same bet thousands of times, how much money would you expect to win or lose on average? Sports books build their entire businesses around making sure that that number is negative for you and positive for them. Let me show you how this works. So most bets in sports betting are priced in at negative 110 odds. That means if you bet $110, you only win 100. So in order to just break even, you actually need to win 52.4% of your bets, more than half of the time. But most people don't win that often. I mean, imagine it like this, right? You've got 2 bettors that are each placing 100 bets at $110. One bettor wins 50 bets and loses 50 bets. Sounds like it would be a tie, right? Well, it's not, because when they win, once again, they only get $100. But when they lose 110. So after 100 bets, you're only going to win 50 times at $100, which would be 5,000, and you would lose 50 times 110, which is $5,500 that you would lose. So even though they were right half the time, they still lost $500. And that difference right there is called the house edge. And this edge exists on almost every single bet that's placed on these platforms, which is why the industry can guarantee profits while most players slowly lose their money over time, all in the name of entertainment. Now, the second major structural reason why so few people win in sports betting is actually due to behavioral mistakes. So people, when they're betting, they end up chasing losses when they lose, or betting emotionally, betting on your favorite teams or narratives that you want to see happen. And then the worst piece of this that these platforms love to take advantage of is also the psychology behind parlays. So a parlay is when you combine multiple bets together into one bet. And the rule is simple. Every single bet has to be correct for you to win. Even if one of them loses, the entire bet loses. At first, it sounds appealing because they make the payouts bigger. You might see something like turn $10 into $300. But what most people don't think about is how the probability actually changes when you stack bets together. Let's say each bet individually has about a 50-50 chance of winning. If you place just one bet, then you would have a 50% chance. But if you combine 2 bets into a parlay, then you need both of them to hit to win. So the probability is not 50% all around, it's 50% times another 50%, which brings you down to 25%. And then you add a third bet, and now you're at 12.5% chance of getting it right. And then add a fourth bet, and you're at 6.25% chance of everything happening. By the time someone builds a 6-leg parlay, the odds of winning are almost non-existent. And once again, this is also imagining that you have a 50-50 chance every single time. And yet these sports books are constantly promoting same game parlays, 10-leg parlays, turn $5 into $1,000. And the reason is because the more bets you stack together, the less likely the outcome becomes, and the more profitable that bet becomes for the sports book. Now, the third structural reason why very few people ever make money with sports betting is due to market efficiency. So these sports books use sophisticated models and massive amounts of data. So beating the odds that they already set consistently is very hard. I mean, think about it. Their entire business model is built off of actually pricing in these bets efficiently. So you're basically competing against a team of mathematical geniuses and elite level algorithms to try to find a mispriced bet. So let's quickly recap. The first thing is the VIG. These sports books essentially are taking a fee or a commission every time you're placing a trade, and that immediately puts the odds against you or makes your expected value less than zero. The second major thing is behavioral mistakes. People chase losses, they get all emotionally involved, and when that happens, they've got you right where they want you. And the third thing is that there's also an actual entire business that's built upon pricing these bets in a way to where there's no way that the average person is actually going to have a statistical advantage over these platforms over time. They're investing, imagine, profits that they're making from all of this, potentially millions of dollars, into making sure that that's the case. So just know when you're participating on these sports betting platforms that there are structural reasons why you won't win. And just some other things to keep in mind is that the economics of betting platforms are extremely concentrated. There's data that says around 5 to 6% of people that use these platforms generate around 80% of sportsbook revenue. So these are people that are heavy gamblers or that are addicted to these platforms, and this is what makes them the most money. So with all of that understood, why would any rational person continue to gamble on these sports betting platforms? The answer to that question comes from psychology. And there's this concept specifically that's called the possibility effect. Humans have a strange way of thinking about risk. When something has a very small probability of happening, our brains don't treat it like a tiny probability. Instead, we treat it like a real possibility. In other words, once the chance of something happening goes from 0 to even just a tiny chance, our brains suddenly start imagining the outcome. And that changes how we behave. And this is why people, for instance, buy lottery tickets. The odds might be 1 in hundreds of millions. But the moment the possibility exists, people start imagining the life-changing win. And sports betting apps lean heavily into this. That's why they consistently promote things like turn $5 into $500, 10-leg parlays, same-game multipliers. Mathematically, these bets are some of the worst bets that you could make, but they trigger the possibility effect. Because even though the probability is tiny, the possibility of a massive payout feels incredibly real. And that feeling is what keeps people betting. So sports betting platforms aren't just built on odds and statistics. They're built on understanding how the human brain misjudges possibility, and they're designed in that way to keep you on that platform and to keep you getting poorer and poorer. The more you play, the more you lose. And that's exactly how those entire business models are built. Right now, we're seeing a huge increase in the amount of money that's being spent on gambling advertising, and we're seeing this across all platforms. We're seeing it everywhere. And a lot of young people and people in general are getting hooked on these platforms and are honestly ruining their lives. So I personally think that what's happening with this is a really big problem and something that's worth putting the time in to try to address. And so because of that, we're actually building an app called No Dice that's designed to help you track, understand, and take control of your gambling habits. So if any of this information resonated with you, or you know someone who might need something like this, we've been giving away the first 500 free memberships to the first people who join our wait list. So if we haven't fully gotten past that, then you can click that link in the description down below to get access to this for completely free by joining the waitlist. So click that link in the description, join the waitlist, get access to this No Dice app for free. And if you think that this could be helpful for someone else, be sure to send them this video as well. Until next time, peace.